If you're a US citizen, green card holder, someone who's made the US their permanent home, or even a non-US citizen with US assets, you could be liable for US estate tax on your death. US estate tax applies to the worldwide assets of US citizens if they exceed the current threshold of $12 million US. This applies to both transfers of assets on death, as well as gifts made during the US citizen's lifetime, which reduce the threshold accordingly. There is the possibility to transfer any unused portion of your threshold to a surviving spouse to give a combined total exemption of just over $24 million US. For non-US citizens who own US assets, the threshold is only $60,000 US. There are two key ways to mitigate against US estate tax exposure. The first is through strategic lifetime gifting, and the second is through bespoke succession planning. Looking first at lifetime gifting, there are exemptions for US citizens making gifts during their lifetime. For example, in 2022, a US citizen is able to gift $164,000 US to their non-US citizen spouse without affecting their threshold. There are also options available for Australian domiciles. For example, establishing a limited liability company in the US to hold certain US property, because when a transfer of these shares is made during their lifetime, this does not incur any gift tax. Having a look at succession planning, one key strategy is to defer the payment of estate tax, and you can do this by transferring the estate of the first deceased spouse into what's known as a qualified domestic trust, or a QDOT. This means that estate tax will only be payable on the death of the second spouse. Another option is to establish a support trust in your will. If structured correctly, this means that a US citizen can receive their inheritance from a non-US citizen spouse, and it will not form part of their estate on their subsequent death. Hall & Wilcox can advise you on these various strategies, and it's better to consider it sooner rather than later. We work with you and trusted US lawyers to provide a solution that's bespoke and tailored to your situation, and will work from both a US and Australian tax and succession planning perspective.